I woke up this morning thinking about something that happened 3 years ago. Not because anything reminded me of it, not because it was important or dramatic, just my brain decided at 7 in the morning, before coffee, that it was a good time to revisit a mildly awkward conversation I had with a coworker in 2021. Thanks, brain. Really helpful. But it got me thinking about something that actually matters. How much of our daily conversation is about the past? Like, genuinely, stop and think about it. When you talk to a friend, how long before one of you says something like, "Oh, that reminded me of this time when," or, "You know what happened to me yesterday?" It happens within minutes, maybe seconds. The past is everywhere in conversation. It's how we connect, how we explain ourselves, how we make people laugh, how we process things out loud. And yet, for so many English learners, talking about the past feels like the moment the conversation gets complicated. Present tense feels manageable, but the second something happened yesterday, suddenly there are irregular verbs, and did and didn't, and was versus were, and your brain is trying to remember grammar rules while also trying to tell a story, and it's just a lot. I get it. I really do. But here's what I want you to consider. You already know how to talk about the past. In your language, you do it constantly without thinking. The thoughts are there, the memories are there, the stories are there. What we're working on is just building the English bridge between your experience and your words. And that bridge? It's more accessible than you think. When something happened yesterday, or last week, or years ago, English gives you some very natural, very simple ways in. Things like, yesterday I, or last night I noticed that, or a few days ago something happened that I keep thinking about. Those are real openings, not textbook sentences, things people actually say. And once you start with one honest sentence about something real, the rest tends to follow. It always does. So let's talk about the part that makes a lot of people slow down, the verbs. And I want to be honest with you. Irregular verbs in English are a little bit unreasonable. Like, why is the past of go the word went? Those two words don't even look related. They don't sound related. Someone a long time ago made some very questionable decisions, and now we all just have to live with them. But here's the thing. The irregular verbs that show up most in everyday conversation, the ones you actually need when you're telling someone about your day, there aren't that many of them. And you probably already know most of them without realizing it. I went, I had, I saw, I said, I thought, I felt, I knew, I got. Read those again slowly. Do they feel familiar? They probably do, because these are the verbs that carry real stories. These are the ones that show up when something actually happened. Now, regular verbs are honestly much kinder. You just add ed and you're done. I walked, I talked, I waited, I decided, I wanted. Clean, simple, predictable. English being polite for once. But what I really want you to notice is how a past tense sentence in English tends to flow. It usually starts with who, often I, then what happened, and then some small detail that makes it real. I went to the market yesterday and it was absolutely packed. I had a meeting this morning that I completely forgot about. I saw something on the way home that made me stop walking. Notice how each of those opens a door. They're not just facts. They invite a response. They make someone want to ask, wait, What happened? That's the magic of a well-told past moment. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be specific enough to feel real. Because vague stories don't land. But specific ones, even small, ordinary ones, they stick. And you have plenty of those, more than you think. I want to tell you about the most boring Saturday I ever had. And I mean genuinely, spectacularly boring. I stayed home. I did laundry. I made soup from whatever was left in the fridge. I watched something forgettable on TV and fell asleep on the sofa at 9:30 like a person twice my age. Objectively, nothing happened. But when my friend called me the next day and asked what I did, I told her about that soup. How I had no idea what I was making, just started throwing things in, and somehow it turned out to be the best thing I'd eaten all week. And she laughed and said that always happens. And then she told me about a cake she once accidentally made better by forgetting an ingredient entirely. We talked for 40 minutes about almost nothing. And that's the thing about the past. It's not about how exciting the event was. It's about how you tell it, the details you choose, the small, honest observations that make someone feel like they were there with you. In English, this is where little phrases become incredibly useful. Things like, "the funny thing was," or "what I didn't expect was," or "and then out of nowhere." These are transitional moments in storytelling. They signal to the listener, something worth noticing is coming. Pay attention here. You can also use contrast to make a past story more interesting. I thought it was going to be awful, but actually, or it started fine, and then everything went slightly wrong. Contrast creates rhythm. It makes people lean in. And don't underestimate the power of a simple reaction in the past tense. I couldn't believe it. I had no idea what to say. I just stood there for a second. These phrases are short, natural, and deeply relatable. Everyone has had a moment of standing somewhere not knowing what to say. Everyone. When you include your reaction in a story, not just what happened, but how you felt inside it, that's when language stops being grammar practice and starts being actual human communication. That shift is everything. There's a quiet habit that I think is one of the most underrated ways to improve your English, and it's almost embarrassingly simple. At the end of the day, before you sleep or maybe while you're making dinner, or sitting somewhere with 5 minutes to yourself, just recap your day. Out loud, in English, like you're telling a friend what happened. Not formally, not carefully, just talk about what you did, what you saw, what annoyed you slightly, what made you smile, what you ate and whether it was worth it. This morning I woke up late and I was convinced I'd missed something important, but actually I hadn't, and I felt so relieved. That's it. That's the practice. One honest sentence becomes 2, becomes 5, and suddenly you've been speaking English for 3 minutes about a completely ordinary Tuesday, and your brain has been working the whole time without feeling like work. Because here's what happens when you talk about the past regularly in English. You stop translating. Slowly, gradually, you stop going from your language into English, and you start just thinking in the shape of the story itself. The past tense stops feeling like a grammar rule and starts feeling like a natural reach, like picking up something familiar. And the stories don't have to be important. Yesterday doesn't have to have been remarkable. You don't need a travel adventure or a dramatic event or a life-changing moment to have something worth saying. You woke up. Something happened. You noticed something. You felt something. You got through the day. That is enough. That is always enough. One of my favorite things about the past tense in English is that it's also where gratitude lives. I had a really good conversation today. I saw something beautiful on the way home. Someone was kind to me, and it stayed with me. Small sentences, real weight. So tonight, try it. Recap your day in English, just to yourself. Nobody's grading you. Nobody's listening except you. And you, it turns out, are a pretty good audience. Charlotte's here tomorrow. Take care until then.